Zach, I appreciate you taking time to be on. I think you played some up at Turtle Point in Florence. That's sort of my stomping grounds. I don't play Turtle Point that much, but I don't know Stuart Sink that well, but I think you played up there some. How you doing?
I'm doing well, gentlemen. Yeah, thanks for having me. And yes, I've played numerous times up there in the Muscle Shoals, Florence area.
I understand you got to visit with Coach Saban sometime, either last year or not. When was that?
That was a couple of years ago. Yeah, I've got a really good friend who does a lot with, specifically with the Alabama golf team, but knows some of the ADs and whatnot. And yeah, my buddy Stephen Bunn and I were just in Tuscaloosa, and next thing you know, we're getting a tour of the facilities, and lo and behold, there's Coach Saban. So it was kind of a surreal moment. I mean, I realize he's just a guy, but he's also the guy of an institution that, quite frankly, has been dominating college football. So it was a pretty cool, treat that one Monday a couple falls ago.
He was probably excited to see you. Did he ask you for some golf tips? Ask you look at his swing?
Like me.
Did he ask you to look at his swing while he saw him in there?
No, we didn't quite get that involved, but I will say that you guys know. I mean, clearly that's what you guys cover and whatnot. But he is a golf fanatic. It seems, and what I've read and what I've seen is it's one of his escapes, like it is for a lot of guys in that profession or in a similar profession. But yeah, he'd ask some questions. He likes, probably no surprise to you as well. He likes, how other athletes and I would say other, professionals process things and how they go about it, especially from the mental side of things. You can tell his mind's always churning and always processing and trying to get better and trying to, incorporate, maybe something that can help his team or his coaches or whatever. I mean, he's, relentless and never content, and I think that's what makes him really, really, really good.
Zach, I know when you play in the British Open, weather is such a factor, no doubt about it, much more so than any other of the bigger tournaments that you play in. Do you visit each morning with your caddy and take away clubs and put in clubs of the 14? Do you do anything to change your bag each day that you play based on what you think the weather's going to be like?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Not necessarily. That is technically the one tournament where I've actually varied my set a little bit. I've got typically when I play in the States, especially with the way the golf ball's made nowadays, the way the golf courses are designed, and you want, for the most part, you want high and soft. If I'm going to dumb it down a little bit, you want the ability to take a long club, whether it's off the tee or out from the fairway, and land it on the green soft, and that sort of factor. So when you get to the Open, I mean, sometimes that can be advantageous. You have to have every shot. Let's not deny it. You have to have every shot. But there is that element of, the wind in particular and using the ground and not forcing the issue. So for the most part, I've taken out, like a hybrid and inserted like a driving iron. I would say the last 4 out of 5 years. It just seems to be advantageous with the wind.
Okay, that's interesting. Barry?
We're talking to two-time major winner, Zach Johnson here. Zach, everybody, of course, around these parts loves the Masters, and I just kind of want to get y'all's schedule. When do you go into Augusta? How do you prepare for that tournament with you and your caddy? Just talk about the week of Augusta. Then obviously you won the championship in 2007. What did that do for you and your group there after you won that tournament?
Sure, no. I mean, I didn't grow up in the Southeast, but,
Iowa.
Yeah, I grew up in Iowa, and obviously the Masters as an American is a big deal. I mean, as a golfer, it's a substantial deal. And you play in it and you realize, the gravity of the situation. But if I grew up in the Southeast, it'd be even, it's right up there with pimento cheese and sweet cakes, let's put it that way. So, but yeah, going into it, I don't know if there's a perfect formula. I mean, I think everybody has their own different kind of way of preparing. I mean, a lot of guys flourish, playing the week before. Specifically, like I think it's something. Phil, for example, he likes to play. I guess right now it's Houston. to get ready. He just wants to stay in that competitive mind frame, that competitive mode. And typically, I don't mind playing the week before a major. I'm not saying I don't, but that week, for whatever reason, I feel like I can prepare better or even more efficiently taking the week off. So leading up to it, I'm doing a lot of wedge work, go figure, but it really is one of those golf courses, given certain conditions where your wedges are a premium. Like anything, you got to drive it. And then now, as time has gone on, the course has gotten more difficult as far as hitting fairways. There was a time where it really wasn't that difficult, but it's got some, it's got some teeth off the tee. So you really have to, first and foremost, get the ball in the fairway. And so what I've done and what my coaches have done, we've really kind of plotted out. It's kind of like how you design. Where am I going to put my time in to prepare for this tournament? What percentage time? Is it going to be more putting? Is it going to be more wedges, more driver? Well, it's all of the above. But I'm doing a lot of short game, a lot of putting, a lot of chipping, that kind of thing. You try to replicate it, you try to get ready for it. You really can't until you get to Augusta National. And that's the beauty of that place. There is nothing like it in golf and I'd argue in sports. I mean, there's just nothing like that experience. So, we get everything there. We've had, 80 to 85 degrees even, and then we've had, obviously 55, so it's usually somewhere in the middle when it comes to temperatures. So you got to be prepared for anything. But again, that's the beauty of Augusta in April. Back in 2007, it was a whirlwind of a year, a whirlwind of a week, a pretty awesome week. I'm not going to deny.
I imagine.
Yeah, no, I mean it was everything that you dream as a kid, and certainly as a young professional, to play in it. But let alone, to walk up the 18th fairway and have a chance was pretty special, to say the least. So. It's a feeling I'll never forget, and one that I want to have many, many more times. If I'm going to summarize it, though, I mean, a lot of shock and awe. I mean, shock just because, at that point I'd won only one time in my career on the PGA Tour, so I hadn't really done much, per se. I had one Ryder Cup under my belt and one win. That was really about it. So at that point, I was kind of the outside looking in, and I felt good about my game. I mean, I thought I prepared well, but I didn't foresee something like that happening, and I was pleasantly surprised. Obviously in awe too, because it is Augusta National, it is the Masters,
Sure.
It's hallowed ground, et cetera, et cetera. So, and you combine all that, and it was Easter Sunday. It was just a pretty an experience that my family and I will never soon forget.
Well, I got to play one time. Joe Ford invited Bobby Knight and I over to play, and I got my first par on 12. And that was a thrill.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, 12 is my favorite hole.
Yeah, it's a great venue. Before we let you go, and I don't want to take golf lessons on here, but your wedge,
go ahead.
Your wedge play is absolutely. You knock the flag down. I mean, that's just the way it is. If you had to put a wedge in somebody's hand to get it close, it'd be yours. Is any particular thing that you do with your wedge play that maybe separates yourself from other people? I can say that you can't.
Yeah, well, I don't really know. I mean, I can't sit here and say I know what they do in preparing with their wedges, but I can tell you, it's not rocket science for me. I mean, you got to break it down into pretty practical terms. I mean, I really have to wedge it well if I want to compete. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna, take down the par fives, with the 3-iron, from the fairway. So, laying up to certain yardages and really honing in on those yardages is key. I have the ability at the places I practice down here on St. Simon's, Sea Island, to really hone my wedges. I've got wedge ranges and abilities to really, get the feedback from yardages and that kind of thing. But, if there's one thing that I would say is that, especially for an amateur, if you only got so much time, try to find that, that 10-yard gap, whether it's a 70-yard to 80-yard shot or whatever it is, 80 to 90-yard shot, and really just make it one of your strengths. I mean, everybody talks about my wedges being one of my strengths, and I feel like it's pretty good. I feel like there's other players out there that are better. But I know it's decent. If anything, I'm trying to make it better. Even though it's a strength of mine, I want to make it even stronger. I mean, bottom line is that, I'm not going to go out there. It's not going to do me a lot of good to go out there and try to hit 7-irons left to right and right to left for 2 hours. But it will help me a lot to hit my wedges. It's just, that's how you score. That's how you see numbers come down in your scorecard. And clearly you have to hit the ball in the fairway. Clearly you have to putt. But you can really, I can certainly separate myself with consistent quality wedges.
Well, we certainly want to thank you for being on. I know you've got a lot to do this morning, but we appreciate Stephen getting you on. Appreciate you being willing to be on, and hopefully one of these days I'll get to meet you in person.
Oh, I'd love to, Coach. Gentlemen, I appreciate your time.
Okay.
And, thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.